Can cancer be funny? We're going to find out. My name is Paul, and this is my book, Paul's Heart Life as a Dad and a 35-Year Cancer Survivor, available on Amazon. The other night, I was watching America's Got Talent, and there was a comedian auditioning from a wheelchair. Now, what seemed to take the audience by surprise was that he made how he got there part of his routine. He had been pew-pewed. He told of the response that he got from a woman what had happened when he told her that he'd been pew-pewed at a Halloween party, and her response was, "Ooh, that's spooky," to the shock and the dark humor look on the judges' faces. He quipped that he was dressed up as Spider-Man, but clearly his spidey senses had failed him. And then he went after himself some more about the incident, turning to the next segment of his audition, applying for jobs that he certainly couldn't do, and then just show up for the interview anyway, such as roofing or a rock climbing instructor, saying, "This is the consequence if you don't follow my instructions." He was actually quite funny and clearly helps him deal with his disability. Then you've got Brad Williams, who is a great comic of small stature as he describes himself as fun size, like the candy bar. And boy, does he have the self deprecating material. For instance, being caught in a major snowstorm dumping a foot of snow, his fear of tripping and falling and unaliving because no one would be able to find him. Or his father, lifting him up onto the kitchen island and leaving him there as punishment, like time out as a child. And even his wife gets in on it herself, a black belt in jujitsu, gets into an altercation with a man only to turn to him and say, "You handle this." Okay? And then there's Josh Blue, a comic that was born with cerebral palsy. And yes, the majority of his act is about his disability, and he's hilarious. There's nothing more, to quote him, there's nothing more entertaining than watching 12 dudes with cerebral palsy getting off an airplane like some sort of zombie parade. Or, "I mentioned that I have cerebral palsy because if I don't, after a while, the audience is sitting there wondering, does he know that he has it?" Or, "I went to New York City and tried to hail a taxi and instead caught a pigeon because of the curvature of his hand." Now, have you ever heard of the expression laughter is the best form of medicine? It's a centuries old expression with no clear origin, even mentioned in the King James Bible, which states in Proverbs 17:22, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones." Laughter triggers profound, measurable physical and mental changes in the body. By naturally resetting your nervous system, a good laugh relieves tension, boosts your immune system, and promotes long term cardiovascular health. And then I thought, I've never really heard any comedian making cancer part of their act. Sure, plenty of comedians have experienced cancer, but I almost think there would be too much of a risk bringing down the audience. Clearly, just like with Brad and Josh and Daniel, the only ones allowed to tell jokes about cancer would be those who've had cancer touch their lives. Well, that would be me, 37 years as a survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma. How would I create a comedy bit dealing with cancer without bringing everybody down with what's commonly referred to as gallows humor? Yeah, that kind of gallow. I think the thing to keep in mind is that most comedians reflect on their lives with their acts, so it's actually therapeutic or cathartic when dealing with themselves. Now, will everybody who's had cancer or has cancer think the jokes are funny? No. Will at least irony be seen in the routine? Perhaps. So I thought I would give it a try, and I'll go full commitment. I've got a little mic here, and I thought I would give it a try. So it's going to look different because I don't have an audience with me. I'm not going to play any canned laughter. So I'm just going to trust that you're going to laugh at home. So here goes. Okay? How's everybody doing? My name's Paul, and I want to let you know I'm a 37-year cancer survivor. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I don't want you to think this is going to be a bummer set. Hardly. I can hit you right from the gate. My favorite Disney movie is Finding Chemo, and the most expensive haircut that I ever got was chemotherapy. Now, I had heard 8 cancer jokes the day that I got diagnosed, and if I would have heard one more, it would be 9. You want to think about that one a little bit? So when people find out that I had cancer, a common comment that comes out is, "You're so brave" or "courageous." Now, to be clear, I didn't volunteer to have cancer, though oncologists love to tell certain cancer patients with treatable cancers like mine, if you're going to get a cancer, this is the one you want. Want? What the hell? Nobody wants cancer. It doesn't matter how successful the treatments are. So, likely, do you think I would walk into a doctor's office like I was looking for some Grey Poupon and say, "Excuse me, do you have anything that involves chemotherapy, radiation, and lifelong anxiety?" To be clear, cancer isn't a gym membership. You don't sign up because you want to. The one comment that I find somewhat odd hearing is, "Congratulations on beating cancer." Beating cancer? I didn't beat anything. I survived it. Because if I beat cancer, I wouldn't still be having medical appointments related to my cancer in the form of late side effects 37 years later. Now, to give you an idea how this feels, and you don't have to have any experience with cancer to understand this. Okay, think of somebody robbing your house, and every 6 months the police call and say, "We'd just like to check and see if the burglar came back." That's what it's like. And let's talk about scanxiety for a second. You don't wait for the results, you rehearse every possible conversation in your head. 5 minutes after the scan, you're thinking, "I wonder if I should start organizing my garage." And the text says, "The doctor will call you." Really? How about you just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, maybe a smile, something to give me hope for the next couple of weeks while I wait for that doctor's call? You're like that one of those people that know the ending of the movie and won't tell me. Now, one of my favorite things to hear is, "You look great," which is wonderful because I still actually feel like crap. But at least I got my money's worth to make me look great. Modern medicine, nurses, doctors, therapists, pharmacists, families, and friends who put a lot of time into making me look this good. The hardest question that I do get is, "Are you cured?" Now, I've gotten so accustomed to not using the word cured, even my doctor didn't like using it, because the slightest chance of it returning. It's kind of like asking someone living in Florida, as I do, "Are hurricanes finished after one blows through?" While I hope so, I prepare in case another one comes by. Now, I will tell you one situation that I didn't get used to. You remember the television show Cheers, when the character Norm would walk in and everybody would yell, cheer his name? "Norm!" Yeah, I got that every time I walked into the oncologist office. Only instead of a tasty beer, I got the most toxic of chemotherapy cocktails. Now, I would rather run into everyone at a pizza place or a bar. Now, one good thing that did come from my experience was perspective. Before cancer, I would worry about having matching socks. Today, I'm happy if they're both socks. So I'm having a great day. People think survivors are fearless, and we're not. We're just experienced. We know life can change with just one phone call. We laugh harder now. We hug longer. And we say "I love you" a lot more often. And we don't save the good dishware just for company. Look, cancer took a lot from me, but it also gave me more appreciation for the boring days. A beer with a friend, sunsets, hearing someone snort because they laugh so hard, which I hope you're doing at home. The moments don't seem so ordinary anymore. In fact, they're the jackpot. So if you've been watching this because you survived cancer or you walk beside someone who has cancer, give yourself a little credit. You've made it through some of the hardest days imaginable. And the fact that we're here laughing together, that's not denial, that's victory. So thank you, and remember, the best revenge against cancer is living a life that refuses to let it have the last laugh. Thank you, and good night for coming, and good night, you've been great. This is Paul's Heart. See you next time.